for viewers.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Oh my God. How long did that take?
Way too long.
Okay, boys.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not going to get into the reality of our day or this fucked up industry. And I'm considering just taking calls. That's it.
I'll drink to that. Woo!
I mean, let me go on Instagram. Guys, the phone number 888-659-3727. My voice is cracking too. We are, just about an hour late. A lot of insanity.
We've been here for an hour working on this shit.
Almost for an hour because I had an emergency in the building, which I will talk about as soon as I get on Instagram here.
And then YouTube, with their studio software, they've got the original classic, which I've been using for years, and they've got the beta, which is completely, it's like you got the same codes are there, the same password, like everything is supposed to be the same, but when you click that button, it doesn't work. So I had to go back through, we had to figure this out. It was just a big effing thing. So thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, it was a big problem, and we made it work. But like I was trying to let everyone know, this is probably not a good week to stop drinking for me. If I'm going to be honest with everybody.
Well, I'll drink to that.
I boxer shorts, just get out of the shower. That's it. Drying my hair, trying to get ready for you guys, print myself for you guys who are watching us on YouTube and, GFQ and The Bald Truth and everywhere else. And now I just went on Instagram Live for a second. And it's a fucking emergency in the building. Alarms are going off. I have to make a split decision. Do I continue to try to get my hair just right for you guys, or do I throw on a hat and run downstairs? I open the door. All the fire doors are closed. I'm like, this is tough. So my choice was throw on a pair of jeans, just left my hair kind of wet, started to go down the stairs, and then it was like no one even knew what the fuck was going on. Then I had to come back, and then we open up our rig, and Joe can't get the stream working.
It all comes down to me, doesn't it?
Usually. I have to blame somebody. But, listen, the reality is I was going to come on the air today. I was just going to say, listen, you guys are all fucked. This is it. I have been doing my best for 21 years. There's nothing more that I could possibly do to help you guys. And I'm just going to continue to move forward, keep our niche audience, grow my wealth until it's time for me to get the fuck out of here. And that's it. Because the physicians out there, honestly, most of them, except for a small number, they don't give a shit about you. They do not want to help you. We've offered them a tremendous opportunity to really get this word out there to help you guys, and they're afraid to make that happen. I'm at a point where I'm just like, you know what? What do I give a shit? What do I care? I mean, I care about you guys. You guys find us. That's great. You guys are the lucky ones. But for everyone else out there who's considering anything hair loss, considering any product or service, considering surgery, essentially in this world now, you are more screwed than you've ever been. That's it. So I'm not going to continue this rant. I'm just going to take phone calls. That's what we're going to do from now on, Joe. We're just going to answer people's questions and just take call after call after call. And I'm going to stop trying to beat the guys in the industry up and educate, those who are out there, the physicians especially, trying to get them to somehow make the decision to do the right thing, because they're not going to do it.
Well, I think, look, I completely understand where you're coming from. And I can say with confidence that in my experience so far in this industry for the past 18 years, I think. Is it 18 years now? 18. Jeez.
Hold on, I keep forgetting to turn off my mic so that people on Instagram can hear you. Go ahead.
I can say that while a lot has changed as far as the types of clinics that are out there and the marketing that is being used to pull people in, what hasn't changed is the level of compassion that most doctors have. In fact, I think that overall, if you look at the number of clinics that are operating today, I think the amount of compassion that's out there by the professionals for the patients is at an all-time low, simply based on averages. The law of average, it's just more people out there and fewer of them getting in the industry actually give a shit about the patient compared to 10, 15 years ago, if that makes sense. But I think that what you just said is really important, because no matter what you say, no matter what I say, the doctors and clinics that are in the industry today and have been for a long time, if they haven't learned by now, they're never going to learn. And it's a small minority of these physicians that do get it. We don't need to preach to them because they already get it. And it's my hope that by educating and really driving this stuff home with the consumer, with the patient, instead of beating up focus our attention on these patients, the listeners and the readers, then the more of them that grab on to what we're saying, the truth, the more of them will help to drive change once they actually start making their own decisions.
And you're right about that. The only issue is the doctors sadly contradict what we are trying to do because they're afraid to preach the truth and even to agree with us publicly. That's the problem. It's a very small minority. And, I was talking to a guy today. Actually, I spoke to a really good young physician that we just brought on to the IHRS yesterday. And he has made a decision that he wants this to be his lifelong career. He's a 34-year-old guy. He's got a lot of cases under his belt. He's a good guy. And he's willing to speak out. That's it. I have to do a complete dialysis of what we're doing as far as, some of the so-called leaders in the field. Bring on these young guys to lead the way who are willing to help get our message out there. And that's it. But I'm not going to continue to beat this horse. I've decided that I made that decision this morning. I know there are great guys like John Cole who keep saying get the message out there, keep pushing that message to the doctors. The doctors don't give a shit. Very few do. That's it. So my focus is going to be to grow this Instagram presence, which I kind of neglected forever, and I'm just starting to do it now. And I see it growing.
One of the things I'm going to do is I've made the decision to I've neglected my hair transplant class series, and it's just because there's so much going on. But the next few videos and moving forward, they're going to be more hard hitting than ever. And it's going to be striking at subject matter that can't be disputed, because I'm going to be teaching people on how to, when someone says, well, that's not true, to say why. Show me the proof how this isn't true. For instance, what the fuck is a medical grade laser for laser hair caps?
It's
medical grade laser?
It's the exact same laser that they use for cat toys. That's it.
Exactly.
It's the same diode.
I'm going to have a video about this. I'm going to have a video about the guarantees and how they're useless. And I would love to have people report back to me and you on the show, not just about these videos, but about anything that we say, and to let us know when they run into opposition from doctors and what their arguments were. Because I would love to get some of these doctors on and debate with them about the legitimacy of some of the things that they say. It won't happen. But it's time to be a bit more direct, I think.
I think we've been pretty direct for a long time, dude. You know,
Well,
I think the reality is it's just I'm taking the focus off of the physician, and I'm really just going to focus on what I'm doing with the consumer, and that is it. And these physicians are going to fall like dominoes because there's too many new guys that just want in and want to be a part of what we're doing.
talented.
That's it.
With a real passion for it. And yeah.
All right, you know what? Let's stop this bullshit. Let's just get to the phones.
Let's do it.
Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, man, you're on the air.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, my name's Daniel, and I'm calling you guys from Everett, Washington.
Everett, yeah.
Daniel, welcome. What can we do for you, man?
Yeah, I'm stuck in Boeing traffic.
All right. Well, your phone's breaking up a little bit, but we'll see if we can make this work. So go ahead.
Okay. So, quick question for you guys. I ordered Propecia probably in January of this year, and tried it for 4 days and got side effects. So after the 4 days, I stopped and got on minoxidil. It's been now 8 months, and I was kind of thinking, listening to you guys, and thought about titrating. So I've been doing that now successfully every third day, no problems, and I'm going to try that for about 2 weeks. 3-4 months, and probably go every second day, so on and so forth. And my question was, on my bottle, it pretty much has a 1-year expiration date. I got it from the company Keep, and I ordered a lot of it because I was honestly really committed. I wanted to give it a shot. You know, I did read the forums and all of the scare stories and all that, but, you know, I got a 3-month supply. I said, I'm going to go into it head first. I really want to try it. So now that I'm really happy with the way I'm going right now, you know, I honestly don't have any side effects at the moment. I guess the question is, do the pills, I understand you guys aren't physicians, but do the pills actually expire, or can I continue to take them until they run out?
I'll give you some advice, and it's a very common question. You know, in most, at least in this country, and I think that in Canada as well, once a pharmacy or a physician, or in this case, this is kind of like an online pharmacy situation, prescribes medication, they have to give it a 1-year expiration date. That is not the manufacturer's expiration date. In general, it's much longer. So, for instance, if I get a bottle of finasteride, if I get brand name Proscar. If you peel back the pharmacy's label, you will see the real expiration date from Merck, which is usually several years down the line. It all depends on when it's manufactured. With that said, even when drugs are manufactured, you can read about this online, and I'm not a physician, but even when drugs are manufactured 7-8 years ago, you know, they've done studies and actually found certain medications back in some sort of an armory back in from World War II. And they tested the efficacy of the antibiotics and different drugs that you would think would expire much more rapidly. Now, let's see, World War II, were there antibiotics? I could be wrong. I think it was penicillin.
Yeah.
And every drug that was prescribed was just as effective, had the same potency. I mean, every drug that they found had the same potency. So, listen, when it comes to my hair, I usually try to stay within the expiration range, and that is usually the expiration range that is on the actual Merck labeling. However, with that said, I would say, in general, most people would agree who are experts in this that it can go way past the expiration date. We're talking about years and still be effective.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That's great news. I do want to switch over to Propecia, 1 milligram after this bottle expires now that you've told me this, and thanks a lot. I actually saw a hair transplant doctor years ago, probably in 2017 or 2016 for PRP, and he still has my file. I guess I would have to call their office for this, but do I have to have another consult with him? He did diagnose me with male pattern baldness. Do I have to have another consultation with him to get him to give me the prescription for Propecia? Or could I kind of just call up the office and maybe be like, hey, can you give me the prescription?
That depends on the physician. I mean, some physicians you can just call up and say, hey, I saw you for a consult, many years ago. You're his patient as far as, you had a hair loss consultation with him. If they go and check your records, I think most doctors would give you a prescription. It's possible they may want you to come in, and check you out again, but it really depends on the physician.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for all of the advice. You guys actually steered me away from having a hair transplant at 24 years old at the time. And I was actually on, now that I think of it, it's kind of goofy, but I was on the internet looking for, found a lot of hair, they were actually cosmetic surgeons, and I was looking more at the price than I was looking at the quality. Now, I think I won. I'm just going to rock out my hair as long as I can and shave it off. Thanks to you guys.
Dude, listen, I'm glad that is really our message. I'm glad we were able to make that happen for you. I'm glad you didn't make the mistake of, going to a person just hanging up a shingle, claiming that they are a hair transplant expert, which is really the majority of this field today. And that's what's really scary. I wish, and I'm hoping, that some of the guys, and again, I don't know why I'm focusing on these fucking doctors, but that they are listening to this, because they are trying to get a message out there that is, in my opinion, incorrect for the general population. It is not about hair transplant tourism. It is not about, getting, technicians performing surgery. There's some incredible technicians that are in this field. It really is about exactly what you were speaking about. Guys who look at this as a commodity, the fact that it's been marketed as a commodity for so long, the fact that people think it's a one-size-fits-all procedure, the fact that they think that technology is so advanced, whether it's robotic or whether it's one of these other turnkey devices, that now we've reached a critical endpoint, or the endpoint where hair transplants can work for everybody. That's what people think, and then they just start to price compare. Your message and what we're trying to get out there, and the fact that you were swayed not to have surgery, is really what we want for people. Surgery is great if you're the right candidate, but so many of you are not. And,
yeah, absolutely. And that was the message that stuck with me. Was I believe you had a caller on years ago. I used to watch you on there was a link on a Q. It was kind of like a radio station or something, and then I would click the video on that internet website, and you were talking to this caller, and you're like, dude, you shaved your head, you won. Don't call me again.
Absolutely. Just stop watching or listening to the show. I've been saying that I've been saying that for 21 years, and there are certain doctors out there, one that I spoke with last week, that still doesn't like the idea or support the idea that I say, and also Joe as well, that surgery is a last resort. I can't talk most people out of having surgery, but at the very least, what I can do is let them know the entire scope and possible pitfalls of this procedure and let them be aware of the fact that they have to understand if they are actual candidates before they move forward. If you're a candidate, great, but also know there's always risks, period.
Absolutely. Well, those were all my questions, guys. Thank you so much for still doing the show. I mean, I've been watching for years, and because of you guys, I tried the Propecia. It didn't work out at first. I got on minoxidil, and, minoxidil I wasn't expecting a miracle out of it, but it did thicken up my hair. I mean, maybe you can notice it, maybe you can't notice it, but I obviously notice it, and I'm happy with it. I was taking it twice a week. Now, it is kind of annoying to apply it, so I do it. I'm not twice a week, sorry, twice a day. Now I do it once a day, and I'm on my finasteride and titrating, and I'm happy, and I'm not telling people anything, but hey, if you want to take my experience, for example, I tried it for 4 days. It gave me side effects. I stopped, and I kind of thought to myself, I was like, well, maybe this is the first time the drug has been introduced to my body. My body's got to be like, whoa, what's going on, What's this?
Yeah. The reality is, and we're going to take another call in a second, but the reality is for most people, at least during clinical trials, side effects are transient, meaning that your body eventually adjusted and had no longer had side effects if you stuck with the drug. But the fact that you titrated is a really smart move. Again, I'm not a physician, but it's a smart move, and I'm glad that you're happy in the situation. I can tell you that you're probably going to see significant benefits because almost 90% of the people that utilize or use this drug will see benefits.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, the 4 days that I took it, maybe it was something crazy, or I was shedding quite a bit. I was shedding a lot, actually, and on the 4th or 5th day that I was taking it, it wasn't a whole week, but it was pretty close. I would kind of scrub my head in the shower and try to see if it was working, and I wasn't shedding as much as maybe it was just something that I noticed, or I don't know, really.
Yeah, that's most likely a coincidence.
I thought it was working for me.
Yeah.
It could have been a coincidence as well. That's right. Well,
listen, dude, we're gonna go. Thank you for the call. I'm glad you're doing well, and keep watching and listening.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take it easy.
You got it, man.
Thanks for calling.
Phone number 888-659-3727. Actually, the battery. I got to get a new phone. Actually, I have two phones. One's a burner phone. That's too much information. I actually have two phones, and this phone is just about out of a charge, so I may have to turn it off for Instagram, but I kind of just want to go on for a few minutes when we do the show, just to kind of test the waters with this thing. But let's take another phone call and see how long my charge lasts.
Let's do it.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Gentlemen, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Great. This is Dave from Brooklyn. How are you guys?
Dave from Brooklyn. How is Brooklyn?
How is Dave?
How is Brooklyn? How's Dave? Dave is okay. Brooklyn is still here.
Right on.
But, I lived in Brooklyn when it was a prairie. That's how old I am.
Well, gentlemen, I want to make this fast because you've got real callers, you've got real problems. And I just want to say, I just wanted to call to literally say two words, thank you. And you guys know my story because I'm so happy I followed that last guy because I'm exactly like him, except I did not take the finasteride because I didn't catch it in time because it was too far gone by the time I found you guys. But, of course, both of you guys dissuaded me from getting the transplant, the greatest decision I never made because I'm sure I would have paid a hefty price for the rest of my life. But I hear what you guys are saying, Spencer. I hear what you're saying about taking the focus off the doctors and putting it on the patient. I think that's fantastic. And Joe, I hear what you're saying about hard-hitting videos. I loved your Try Guys videos. You know what? I agree with your new perspective. You know, to say, for example, with a Try Guy, this guy should have been on Propecia for at least a year. He was not. That's ridiculous. That's garbage.
Well, first of all, that poor guy, what's his name, Zach?
Zach. Yeah.
I even hate saying this because I don't want to put any I don't want to give this guy any undue anxiety because I'm sure he's anxious enough. However,
exactly.
However, the reality is, I would say that most physicians, and this is just my opinion, would have probably, again, put him on finasteride for at least a year, but they probably would have said he's not really a great candidate for surgery, given his history and given, that the fact that, to me, it looks like he has, again, not a doctor, retrograde alopecia, he has significant hair loss for his age, he's got other health issues, and if they were to try surgery, most likely, in my view, a lot of really, let's say, well-versed and experienced hair transplant surgeons would have done a small manual test just to see how he did. They definitely would not have turned on that robot and let it go to town. No fucking way, in my view.
I agree 100% because the characteristics that Zach presented before, just the fact that he didn't even do any research that we know of. I mean, we're just going based on the fact that in the video, his hairdresser is saying, this is why I turned him on to this doc, because the robot, no scarring, or I forgot what the reasons were, but they were horseshit. But the fact that he came in with basically no research, that alone would qualify him to be turned down by a lot of the better clinics out there, because if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, you haven't done your research, and then come to them, then you're likely going to be shocked and maybe even really unhappy with the process and your final result. Because look, good clinics will actually, like, perfect candidate. Even if Zach was a perfect candidate, better clinics will actually turn away great candidates if they find out that, oh, I'm the first person you've seen. What you don't even know what this is about. Go do your research, then come back.
Well, the way I want to frame it is, we're talking, Bob, in my view, about more of an inexperienced clinic and an inexperienced practitioner in the scheme of things than a better clinic, because I don't necessarily think that this doctor is a bad guy. I think, and
that makes sense. I didn't mean to say better clinics, but yeah, I was going in that direction, but it doesn't really apply to the situation because I actually have no idea if he's better or not. But I think that I will say this: I think that a more responsible consultation would have better identified the issues that Zach presented as a patient and maybe made a different decision as far as having surgery or not.
And first of all, you don't keep your marketing guy in my view, in the video, and or your business partner, and to start to answer questions for the consumer. And I remember when Zach mentioned his hairline and what's an appropriate hairline, and this guy just sits there and puts his hands like this. This is inappropriate, and it's just I mean, I guess maybe it's I'm not their audience, obviously, but I just realize how cavalier they seemed during that process, during the interview and during the video. And I guess that speaks to how social media is, how people gain other people's attention on social media now. It's not with the truth.
Absolutely.
It's just,
absolutely.
It's just with nonsense.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but obviously, in my mind, that doctor said, who are these guys coming in with the boom mics and all the professional equipment, and what, they have 5 million viewers? Well, we can't send him away for a year and ask him to come back. We got to get him now. And it appears that they put profit over patients in this case, and they have, 5 million viewers looking at your beautiful robot, your shiny robot, and of course I was one of the dummies who believed, hey, this is like getting a tattoo now, right? A transplant, that's like the new thing. You go to Turkey and you're done. And it's just like, you guys, what you're doing is like, it reminds me a little bit of Consumer Reports. Consumer Reports has no advertising. They just tell you, guess what? We have tested these cars not around the block. We've driven them 5,000 miles, and Toyota and Honda, they're at the top. And you know what? And I agree with you. I
don't want to cut you off, but there's a reason why. And again, I guess I'm pimping myself out here, but there's a reason why my organizations are the only organizations, the American Hair Loss Association and the IHRS, that have ever been endorsed by Consumer Reports.
Wow.
In the history of the field.
I did not know that. I did not know that. That is amazing. And who reads Consumer Reports engineers, intelligent people, right? That's who reads Consumer Reports. And, so it's like, it's almost like, you know what, you guys have done everything you can do, and I think you should, continue doing what you're doing, and please, Joe, if you're going to make a hard-hitting video, just be, I think it's great. Say, this is garbage. This advice is fecal matter. You know what I mean? And it's like, honestly, I think that's a great idea. So, guys, I don't want to waste any more of your time.
No, it's okay. Listen, by the way, I'm going to wave goodbye to everybody on Instagram. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. My battery is dying. If you want to watch the rest of the broadcast, you can go to thebaldtruth.com, click Watch Live, and you can see the way the broadcast is supposed to look. Or you can go to Joe Tillman's YouTube page, which is youtube.com/hair transplant mentor. And you could also go to Twitch, and where else can you see the video? GFQlive.com, right? Guys from QueensNetwork.com. So Instagram, guys, thank you so much for hanging out for a few minutes. I'm sorry about the fact that my battery is dying, but I'm going to end this.
That would be gfqnetwork.com/live.
Whatever. Making
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, listen, Dave, thank you so much. I really appreciate the kind words and the support, because I'm telling you, like I'm in pretty good shape. I try to take care of myself, but there are times when I'm like, why am I, I don't know how much time I have left on this earth. Why do I keep banging my fucking head against the wall for this? When I don't have to anymore.
Smart people are listening to you. Smart people are listening to you. That's all I could say. It's funny, when Seinfeld was on the show, they were about to get canceled. They said the reason they didn't get canceled the first season is because rich people were watching the show. Right. So all I can tell you is smart people are listening to you. And thanks again, gentlemen. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right, man. You take care. Thanks.
Right on. Thanks for calling.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello, Spencer, Joe. How are you guys? It's Graham from Melbourne, Australia.
Graham, what's happening, my man?
Graham,
how are you?
I'm going well. Everything's good. I went over to Thailand, as you know, Spence. You've seen a few of the photos, and
I saw them. No, I'm just kidding. They were very G-rated photos.
You didn't see the one with the lady boy, did you?
No, I didn't. But I almost had a brief relationship with Lady Boy a couple of months ago. Not purposely.
Well, you know what they say, Spence.
No, I was actually, I was actually, and she was a really nice person. We were just hanging out. I was having a drink at a bar, started talking to me, and she just opened up right away about her, the fact that she was trans. And I'm like, this is a really interesting person. And we hung out for about an hour, just having a couple of drinks and some appetizers. And it was, I got to tell you, it was fun. What am I going to say?
Educational,
fun. And I feel bad. I feel like this particular person is having a lot of trouble meeting people because of her situation.
It's funny. When you're in Thailand, some of the lady boys are actually better looking than the women. So, but if you like that thing, good luck to you. But personally, I love the women. But anyway, I went there with my partner.
I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong. There's plenty of guys that like chicks with cranks. It is what it is. Joe from Staten Island was one of them.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
So go ahead, man.
Anyway, I think I told you, I went over to Thailand, and we go over there every year for a holiday. It's been, last 3 years we've been over there. And I did give you a snippet that I was going for a consultation in Bangkok with one of the hair clinics there.
Yeah, tell us about
it. Should I mention the hair clinic, or should I tell you how it went?
You could do whatever you want. Both mention and...
All right, as I'm not here to name and shame anyone or anything, but all I can say is the consultation was absolutely, totally professional, no pressure at all. And I basically went in there with a lot of the questions I've heard off your show and a lot of the things that Joe has, pushed into our brains, and went in there and hit them with everything and basically said to them, you understand, I'm willing to pay you to not get it done than to get anything done. And absolutely, totally professional, no pressure. I saw plenty of their work. I know 2 people who have had surgery there, and both have came out excellent. But the one thing I did say, I know you talk, I've heard you talk, Joe, about, FUT, and it's, you get the most grafts and everything like that. I'm not willing to go down that path. I'm willing to have less hair than a full head of hair, if you know what I mean. I've got a great donor, so that's what I thought. But anyway, with the consultation, which was very, very surprising, and it's going to be 2 procedures. These people who go over to Turkey and get 1 procedure at one time, I don't know how that's possible, and the stress and the speed that must be put into those procedures is.
I'll tell you how it's possible. They go in and they'll have sometimes 2 technicians doing extractions at once. Sometimes I've actually seen 3, and their goal is to get as many as possible. That's it. It's not about the quality. It's not about any factor that you would actually give a shit about. It's about the speed. And they have no regard whatsoever for the integrity of the donor area once that patient leaves. And so they're just elbows left and right, flying all over the place, getting grafts out. They're not taking their time. They're not adjusting for angle variations. They're not constantly reevaluating if they're using the right punch size, the right punch type. There are different kinds of punches that can be used on the same patient. There's so many things that go into it. So when you go to a clinic that says, yeah, we can do this, but we'd rather do this in 2 sessions, I like that, because it tells me that the clinic actually cares about at least slowing down and taking it a bit more reasonable than maybe some other clinics would. I like that. I mean, are big sessions possible? Sure, they're possible, legitimately, where you're not taking shortcuts. But I've said this for the past several years. There's nothing wrong with going back in for a second pass to get where you want to be. There are things wrong with going in to try to knock it all out, like a one and done for all of your balding area. There is a problem with that, because if you go in for a 5,000 graft procedure, whereas 3,000 and then 2,000, or 2 times 2,500, or however you want to mix it up, would be another option. If you go in and that first 5,000 graft pass doesn't work, how is your donor going to look? And if it doesn't grow very well, how many grafts is it going to take to fill in the areas that didn't grow very well? Well, if you had a 5,000 FUE, you don't have a hell of a lot of hair left to work with in the first place. So that means that you basically put all your eggs in one basket if you do go for the big surgeries. And that goes, same for strip as FUE. I mean, it doesn't matter. I've seen 6,000 graft FUT cases fail, and the patient is left with 0 options, like just not enough hair, not enough laxity to go in for a second session when it didn't grow well the first time around. So I'm a big believer in taking it slow with smaller sessions, for sure.
Yeah, and what she recommended was, it was just very impressive. Like, as they said for the crown, she said for me, 2,500 for the crown, and that's it. And then the front hairline, which would be done whenever you want it down the track. They were going to bring it down, but I've got a high hairline like yourself, Joe, and she picked up on that. And being a young guy, I think I told you this one of my first calls. When you're young and you've got a high hairline, and as soon as your hair starts to recede a little bit, everyone notices it. So it was, but she really picked up on that. And I was thinking that I think your face is like a third. You know, you measure from your nose to your eyebrows, and then you half that, and you get that length. But she said, no, that's actually too low for you, you know. Maybe in between that, you know. Everything about it was just professional, and I walked out of there, no trying to sell you at the door or anything like that.
Hey, Graham, I have a question for
later,
you. You brought up something to me that it could be a little bit of a red flag, and it's possibly because you expressed that you wanted things done a certain way. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. But you said that this doctor initially discussed just providing you with coverage in the crown because of your, weakness in your hairline, the fact that you have a higher hairline to begin with, and then she was going to move forward. Just so you know, I mean, the problem with that is, and again, I'm not a physician, is really the most important aspect of having a hair transplant is to change your appearance and to change the framing of your face, even if that framing is a higher framing. And in most cases, you want to utilize the best hair, the most robust hair, the hair done in your first procedure in the hairline and the mid-interior scalp in order to, to kind of get that framing and to start that process. Crown, in most cases, is the black hole. You have to use a lot of grafts, and it's not something that most physicians, or I'm not going to say that a lot of physicians want to start with first, and they would advise you to go the other way around, even if you're starting with a higher hairline. Maybe Joe could elaborate.
Well, I think that's just it. It's like you do want to establish the frame for the face first. Everything else is secondary. Like it's, that's what people see when they're looking at you. That's what it's interesting. It's like the hairline defines what people see in their mind's eye when your name is mentioned.
Your perception, exactly. You're either the bald guy or the balding guy, or they don't even notice your crown.
Yeah. In fact, I've had countless patients that I've consulted in the past when talking about, like, say they were, a Norwood 4, where the front needs to be taken care of. They got a strong band in the center, and then in the vertex, and then the crown itself is also pretty bare. We would come up with a plan, 2-surgery plan. We'll do 3,500 for the front, come back in a year. If you want to do the back, 1,500, 2,000, depending on the situation. And they would come back in a year, and then they would say, I don't really want to do the back anymore. I never see it. The front looks great. Everyone's talking about how I look 10 years younger. I don't see the back. It doesn't bother me. So I'm good with one. That's where a one surgery pass works great, where it's so good that you don't need the previously planned second procedure, right? So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think my front, I'm lucky as in the sense it did recede, but it still looks fine. I still actually visually from the front look fine, where my crown is definitely the weakest part. But I agree with what you're saying. I thought it'd be front to back as well. But that is what she decided would be best for me. And she said that you still got plenty of donor to do the front. So to what we can bring it, but then Spencer's brought the better hair situation in, so that's another thing. But this is what it is. It's a learning curve, and that's why I came back to Australia, and I decide what I want to do, and I always said I was going to come back to you guys and see what your opinion is of it.
Well, and you were talking about doing this with FUE, yes?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Yeah, because you don't want to do the strip. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think especially with FUE, you're going to have a little bit of a lower ceiling for how many grafts that you can get, and if memory serves, you've got the crown area that has been shrinking because of your finasteride use. Again, bravo, congratulations. I don't remember what your hairline looks like, but look, I think you're in a great position to do nothing. Just continue your research. I mean, you're taking our education, you're taking the questions that we've been sticking in your noggin, and you're asking them during this consultation, and that's great. Keep doing that, because the way I look at it, you've already had great success so far with finasteride. You got more time for more improvements. That's the best time to continue your research. And obviously, you know not to pull the trigger with the first clinic that you visit for consultation. Maybe come back around to them if they want it being the right one. But I think you got more clinics to go visit and talk to.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. And it was.
And look, I don't mean to cut you off, Graham, but I know that you've met patients who've had great results with this clinic. It doesn't mean that, that's why it's called the practice of medicine.
You're going to get one.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's the practice of medicine because people choose or physicians choose to practice in different ways. Maybe in this physician's experience, she would give you a light smattering in the crown just to kind of, and obviously everything could grow. And this may be something that in her hands, is... as long as the patient is aware that they're going to have to come in for more surgery, is appropriate. I just think that, man, that first time you want those grafts to be used where it counts. So you really have to keep that in mind and take that under advisement.
Yep. So would you, if I decided to go down the track, would you say do the front first before the back and say whatever's left in the back, do the crown?
In my opinion, as a layman, as a non-physician, as someone who's been doing this forever, absolutely. That's, like Joe explained, I mean, that is the most important reason to have a hair transplant, and that's what's going to affect your appearance the most.
Yep. No, I agree with you, and what I look at with a fine-tooth comb is the front hairlines of the people who have had the results done, and they're very impressive. I mean, I'm not saying they're perfect, but very, very impressive. And so I think like you guys talk, the front hairline is so important. If they fuck that up, what comes behind it is, whatever, if the front, everyone's going to look at the front, and it has to be spot on.
That's right.
100%, man. 100%. So I'm glad you got that. And listen, it's good to have the experience of having a consultation. And I mean, like you said, you go to Bangkok, or you go to Thailand on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, been the last 3 years. So, we're trying to go over there once a year in our winter. So it's always good fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's great. And this is your, I don't remember. Did you ever have a hair transplant consultation before? Because I know that you were sold a hairpiece back in the day.
No, I've never had a hair transplant. I don't believe anyone in Australia is good enough to do the job. That's from what I've seen, and if there's any Australian surgeons out there, I'm telling you, that's my opinion, and I've seen the people that are walking around Australia.
Oh, I got to say, Australia is another one of the markets, kind of like the UK, that is notorious for churning out some really bad work. I'm not saying there aren't a handful or a couple of hair transplant surgeons that are doing consistently decent work, but what I am saying is there is a lot of walking wounded that have come from that part of the world.
That's right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's, I've heard you guys saying, try and get a place that if I didn't have to go overseas when I was deciding this, I went to the clinic because I was there and it was something I wanted to get off my mind. I would not get a hair transplant in Australia. It's as simple as that. I would not even look up a place because I've seen the work, and I'm not here to name and shame people, but there's some bad work going on out there.
Absolutely.
Let's put it this way.
And like
Some of the bigger names in Australia, in my view, have done some of the most damage.
I'll agree with that too.
Yeah. So, all right, Graham. Well, listen, I first of all appreciate all of your support. I appreciate your Instagram support. I appreciate your support on here. We did make those 1,000 followers. Let's hope we keep them. Listen, think about when people follow you. If you don't follow them back sometimes or whatever, they drop you. Who knows, you know? But we reached that mark, and my goal is to get it up to a much bigger following in the next few months.
It should be. It's a matter of people finding you, and it should be huge. Like, this is the world's a big place, and I don't know. Like you said about these Try guys, I don't know how many people they've got on their subscriber list.
6 million.
My God.
Yeah.
6 million people, and look at the free information and advice. You know, like, just on the microscope thing, that was one thing that was stuck in my head. You know, there's a lot of things, but the help that you were giving people is huge. You know, like,
well, maybe Joe should contact Zach and say, "Hey, listen, man, we really hope the best. You know, you do well, but we need to point out some stuff, and let's see maybe if he responds, and you know, maybe give us a little bit of a promotion instead of making people believe, especially people his age, that hair transplantation and that, you know, he found this cutting edge treatment to treat his hair loss when in fact, you know, he doesn't really know."
It would be nice.
I don't know. I would love if you can try and get that guy on and try and get to the background of how it all unfolded. I know everyone says, "Oh, my hairline was annoying me," but did he get approached, you know, or who came up with that idea? His hairdresser. I don't know if I believe that.
Who knows? I mean, it's possible. Listen, you have to understand, we're talking about Beverly Hills. Everyone is trying, you know, I mean, there's a lot of cosmetic surgeons. They're connecting with higher-end hairdressers. They're trying to find a way to get leads. It's very possible his hairdresser introduced him to this doctor. And it's very possible that since they have such a big following, that this marketing guy who used to work for the robot company, who's now working with his doctor, may have sought him out. I'm not saying that's the case, but that's the way these things work. Who knows?
Well, I do know that there are a few other, at least one other, maybe two other YouTube, we'll say influencers, that have also been to the same clinic for work. So it may have been, my guess is that there is some sort of continuous outreach effort on the part of the clinic to make connections with people. I could be wrong, but that is the way it's done. Some clinics will have someone that's their job, or part of their job is to find influencers to talk about the clinic, to have a procedure. Or it could have been someone on the Try Guys side that saw that this clinic had done that in the past with other influencers and said, "Hey, let's see if we can do that too," and started the discussion. But there, you know, these things don't just happen where it's like, "Hey, I think I want to get a hair transplant," and then, you know, research is done, and then, "Hey, what do you think about doing this? Can I film it?" Make no mistake, they're like on both ends. This was very calculated. This was very deliberate for the ultimate presentation, we'll say.
I think the saddest part is that there's so many guys, and I actually was speaking to a friend of mine, a young person, a millennial, who was very invested in Zach's story. And I had to tell this person that, you know, this person, and I say this person because I don't want to say whether it's a man or a woman, but this person really believed that this technology was just what was going to be a game changer for anyone dealing with hair loss, as opposed to what it is, which is just, it's a device to extract grafts. It also implants grafts. And that's it. It's just a tool. This person thought that this guy is going to walk out and come back with this brand new, great full head of hair. and this person was very excited about it for whatever reason. Or, just, again, the way they described it was they're very invested in this story. That saddened me to hear.
Yeah.
It really did, because there's so many people invested in Zach's story who are probably not going to wait that year. And who knows what Zach signed? Who knows if he's going to be able to say, if things don't work out, that, you know what, I'm unhappy. Who knows if we're going to see Zach in a hat for the rest of his online career? We don't fucking know.
Well said.
And who knows if Zach's going to get side effects from finasteride?
Well, that's true. But Zach should have taken finasteride, in my view, as a non-physician, a year prior to having surgery to begin with.
Yeah, and like you guys have said, people go in there and then they start taking finasteride after the operation and find that it doesn't agree with them and lose the rest of their hair, and they're in all sorts of trouble. So
absolutely. Or they go through a tremendous telogen effluvium from both shock loss and the use of finasteride. So the first several months of their journey after surgery it's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
So
remember what I said to you, Spence, on the Instagram, the cure to hair loss and weight is remove the mirrors in your house.
Well,
I actually know a guy. I had a patient who hadn't seen his own reflection in like 20 years. Took all the mirrors. No, I'm serious. Took all the mirrors out of the house, and would purposely avoid his reflection when he was out and about.
Jeez, yeah. I'm saying it as a joke, but I could imagine that there are people out there that do that.
Really, it's just not a good week to stop drinking, Joe. I got to tell you.
All right, guys, get on to some other callers.
All right, you take care. Thanks for the call, buddy.
Thanks for calling, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
take care, Joe. See you, Spence.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hey, man.
Hello.
You hung up. 888-659. Everybody just hung up. Hold on. Did I hang up on them? All right, guys, if I hung up on you, I'm sorry. Call back. 888-659-3727. Yeah, for some reason, my Instagram feed, I don't know if it's like where the camera was set. It looks really dark and like creepy. Some of it, and then it kind of focuses in the color. Jesus, we started late anyway. How long do you want to go, though?
I don't know. Till we stop getting calls.
Well, right now there's no calls coming in, so maybe we'll just call it a night.
We'll give it 10 seconds. So if you're out there, you think you want to talk to us, pick up the phone. You got 10 seconds. 9. Hang on. Actually, let's do an official timer. Hang on.
Phone number, guys, is 888-659-3727. It is Friday. You know what that means. It's happy hour, except I promised myself I wouldn't be drinking this week because I had a couple of nights last week that an old man should not have.
Okay, we're going to start the timer now. 10 seconds.
I'm just going to stay quiet.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Someone called in.
10. Serious?
All right, let's take a call.
All right.
Hey, man, you just made it. What's happening?
5 seconds. I got it.
You got it. What's going on? Where are you calling from? What's your name?
Nick from New York.
Hey, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Hi. So I just called to keep the show going. I'm sure you're going to get more calls.
All right. So do we hang up on you now?
No. So I was on finasteride, as I told you guys in the past, for 15 years. And then I got off it. And the diffusing started again.
Yeah.
So
and you got off it for what reason
again?
again? After 15 years? You felt you were getting side effects?
You read about side effects?
I took it as a proactive stance because I was afraid I would lose my hair. And I wasn't sure if it was holding or not. And then around the 6 to 8 month mark when I got off it, I could literally feel like the hair diffusing.
So you weren't having any side effects, even though you were on it for 15 years, no side effects, but because you weren't sure if you were losing your hair, you decided to get off of it.
Yes, and then I went back on, and then I felt some side effects.
It's interesting.
Like low libido.
It's fascinating.
But now I'm at the point where I have to hold the hairline because it's getting more aggressive, and whether my junk works or not, I still got to give it a year. Hopefully, but by then maybe we'll find some other treatments.
Let me ask you a question. I'm just curious about this, and eventually I'll tell you guys why. But if there was a nutritional supplement out there that you knew was clinically tested to kind of take alongside this drug that would probably mitigate this issue or potential issue, you'd take that, right?
I would, yes.
Okay. There is none. But what I'm saying is, if I were to give you a sugar pill right now and say, hey, dude, this shit's going to reverse your adverse side effects, it would, in most cases. There are the anomalies out there. There are those who do truly suffer from adverse side effects. But the fact that you were on the drug for 15 years with no adverse side effects and then got back on it, and you probably got off of it, I'm just guessing, because you read all the horror stories. Am I correct?
I heard about the horror stories, but I didn't believe them, and then I kind of got on and off, and for like a few months. And I'm thinking maybe they're transient as well. You know, maybe if I stick with it for like 2-3 months, it'll subside.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think there's a good chance that they will. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a crystal ball, but the fact that you seem to do well with it for so long, unless something really changed, or unless you're taking another brand generic, and it's kind of a different molecular structure, it's possible that could be it.
100%.
At the time, I was like 29 years old, and now I'm going to be 46 in September. So,
you're
that's
fucking old,
part of that
dude.
equation.
You are old, dude.
Hang it up, man. Why you even try?
46.
Why even bother?
Holy shit. Man, I wish I was 46. 46 was a good year for me. I had a good, pretty good vertical leap. We're just slowly getting more difficult on my knees. God almighty.
Well, you look very good at 54, so.
I really appreciate it. I would like you to say I look very good for 41. I'm just kidding. Listen, dude, we're going to take another call. Stick with it. Let us know what how you're doing. And, obviously you were losing your hair. So it wasn't a waste of time being on the drug for 15 years.
It worked.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. And hopefully it'll fill in just a bit it was holding.
Yeah. Well, I hope
make all the difference.
I hope so too, and there's a chance that it will. So just hang in there.
Absolutely.
Thanks for keeping the show going, even though I really wanted to leave.
All right.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thanks for calling.
Take care. Right. Bye.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Guys, it's Dante.
Dante, what's happening, man?
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
All right, man. We're doing a little show here.
We don't want to let you go home. Nobody wants you to leave.
Nobody wants us to leave.
We keep pulling it back in.
That's it.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was a couple Tuesdays ago, a guy called from New Jersey. I don't know the guy, but I've heard of him. He was talking about, he was 60 years old. He had some transplants, and he was talking about if anyone specializes in beard transplants, right? And I think Joe said, no, it's not really something anybody specializes in. But
well, hang on, no, hold on. There are people out there that say they specialize in it, and they'll do more cases than the average clinic. I think what I was saying is that no one's doing a lot of it, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but the strange thing about it is, the older, unlike your head, the top of your head, I find that people's beards, especially mine, has gotten so much. I always had a deep never grew one, but I always had to shave at like 13. But the beard gets really stronger as you get older. Do you guys find that? So I think that would be a good place if they can perfect that or come close to making it useful,
Well, there used to be a lot of discussion about this because a lot of people have noticed that when they take finasteride, their body hair, including beard hair, slows down or diminishes in the volume of growth or the rate of growth or the strength of the growth, whereas the scalp hair improves. And
that makes sense.
So,
yeah.
Some clinics will actually say, well, if you're going to have a body hair transplant, you need to stop finasteride, which it opens up a whole new can of worms. Like so many problems with that approach. But I think that what you're saying is true. Like beards tend to get a bit thicker, stronger. Body hair becomes more prevalent as well as we get older, and that has a correlation with the reduction in, you got like hair in your chest like a 12-year-old boy, but it's like as we get older, our T levels drop. So at the same time, our DHT levels drop, and it all works together to create kind of like this perfect storm of difficulty for what the hell you're supposed to transplant. It's like the beard hair is great, but if you start throwing it on top of the scalp or chest hair or whatever, you throw on top of the scalp, but you're taking finasteride, what do you do? Do you jeopardize this procedure? Do you jeopardize the hair in your scalp by stop taking it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying because, I've seen a lot of people that don't have much body hair have much better hairlines and, less likely to go bald. It's the hairier men that seem to lose the hair on the top of their head because I guess they have a lot of, with testosterone, DHT in their system, and they have more hair in their body, and that's what helps, obviously kills the hair on your head, So I've seen that along the way.
Well, there was a guy that was online for a long time, started on Alt.Dot Bald Spot days, and he had this theory where he would pluck his body hair, and by plucking his body hair, he believed that would then grow head hair on his scalp. Do you remember that guy, Joe? Him and the guy from that guy Farrell really got into it for a while.
So how did that work out? Doesn't seem like it's a theory that's going to hold up.
Well, I want you to think about this, Dante. This is the reality of the online world. I've been in this world forever in this industry. This is the kind of shit where people would go nuts over.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy he's written some really, in the past, some really nasty things about me as well. I mean, it's amazing because I wouldn't recognize his theory that plucking your body hair would somehow reverse male pattern hair loss. Because all of
there were some really bizarre ideas back then. I was just having like different memories come back that I haven't thought of in a long time about how crazy that this hair loss thing was driving some people. I mean, still to this day, but they were sharing their ideas and their efforts to fight hair loss. I'll never forget when body hair first came on the scene. I remember seeing pictures of guys like this one guy on one of the forums. He actually posted pictures of himself in the back 40 behind his house, behind a fucking tractor with his pants down around his ankles, wearing whitey tighties. And trust me, he should have been wearing boxers. I'll just say that. Asking what the group thought of his body hair. Was it good enough to transplant to his scalp? And I thought, this guy actually dropped his drawers behind a tractor and had someone else take a picture because it was too far away for him to be holding the camera.
And that's why Joe drives a Ferrari.
And that's why I was traumatized against tractors ever since. I'll never go near a tractor. But just the lengths that people go to.
But that's an example of why there are guys who had a couple of hair transplants or a hair transplant are now able to sell laser helmets or laser caps on YouTube. It's an example of the vulnerability of hair loss sufferers. And listen, nothing wrong. Let this guy sell all. I hope he sells 1 million caps. That's fine, But that's the reality of what, especially younger hair loss sufferers, deal with.
I don't, because it's $1 million less than be buying my cap.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. But I don't listen. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a capitalist, and sadly, the way that I look at it now is the shit used to really bug me to see, and I'm not saying this guy's taking advantage of anybody except for the situation. I think that he tries to give reasonable information, but he has his own perspective from someone who's not in the field, so it's not always accurate. With that said, I'm kind of like now it's almost like, I guess consumer Darwinism, or guys who are making decisions based on anyone's Instagram page or YouTube page from someone who's not actually in the field, and even from a physician's YouTube page, in my opinion, to either have surgery or buy a product or a service. They're not as smart as me. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, you got 3 accolades already. I'm going to give you another one. I always do. Like the other caller said earlier, you guys do a fantastic job, but you're not going to, no matter how good of a job you guys do and keep the shit, as long as you keep the show going, you're not going to change everybody's mind. I don't know, it was Saturday, every Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I wake up like 8 o'clock. I put the TV on, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and if I have a channel on from the night before, they're showing a woman's shampoo. I don't know, Kara something. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
And you see that, and they show pictures of how the part in the middle has closed in and it works.
It's a fucking shampoo.
It's impossible, and it's like an hour infomercial with people, testimonials and everything else. It's insane. But
I tell you guys, maybe I'm the idiot, and there will be a time when I do sell out. I'm telling you, I'm giving you guys full disclosure. But I had a guy just not too long ago in this studio showing me white label products of what I could put either my name or the American Hair Loss Association seal on that we can sell through Amazon and all different places and on DirecTV. Not directly, direct-to-consumer television, whatever that's called, DRTV. And I was like, you know what, man? It's not for me. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to sell a hair shake. Sorry. I'm not ready to do that. But there is a doctor who does, and he's doing quite well. I mean, his stuff's everywhere, and it's a protein shake for your hair. And he's at all the conferences. And look, you know what? More power to him, because, like P.T. Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute, I guess.
But the funny thing about it, though, Spence, is that you can, if you wanted to, you can go that route, sell a product. The people, whoever's using it 6, 7, 8 months down the road, they'll realize it doesn't work, and you know what? They'll say, it didn't work for me. And they still won't hate you. They'll just say, it didn't work for me. It didn't work.
That is that's the fucking irony of this whole situation.
Yeah.
We're out there telling the truth, and there are guys out there, both physicians and listeners and viewers or consumers or just people on the interwebs, as Joe would say, that despise us.
Yeah.
It's insane. But if I was out there selling a product, hawking some shit on QVC or through an infomercial, wouldn't make a difference, man.
No, you're right. And they wouldn't be. They'd be disappointed it didn't work, but they wouldn't hold it against you.
No.
And they may even think it may work. People, I know guys that would rubbing things into their head like 30 years ago, and I got a little bit of growth in the crown. I didn't see anything. They thought they did. They fantasize that the stuff really works.
Yeah, dude, I tell you, you're really talking me into this.
Well,
we don't want him distracted, okay? We don't want him distracted. Don't put those ideas in his head. We need to keep him focused.
Dante, man, listen, thank you for the call, as usual. And
just one other quick thing.
Yeah.
One other quick thing.
Yeah.
The guy from New Jersey I was talking about that called, and he went to I forget the doctor in Manhattan that he went to, and he asked him if he could go on. I've never taken finasteride, and I'm gonna. This is true. Back in last November, my hair was looking really good, and I do tax work, and it's really stressful. And I usually lose hair in March, April, May, right? I don't know what happened, but I started to lose in my hairline. I've been losing hair now for like 4 or 5 months, and it's not really coming back. So the doctor that told him that the finasteride would not help his donor area, and you guys said that probably wasn't good advice. I agree with what you said, because all my hair is transplanted, and I'm losing hair in my hairline the last few months, and I don't really see it coming back, and it's really psyching me out. But I think that's the same thing. I mean, and I know from my scar that my transplants, they didn't go too high. I don't think that's the problem. I think that's just my age now, 63, that I'm thinning out in that donor area, which is now on the top of my head, and it's thinning out on the top of my head.
And that's very common, and we've been talking about, and I've been talking about it for years on the show, and Joe has come to the table with the same advice. The reality is, I think that it's this. I'm not going to say tantamount to malpractice, even though that's what I was initially thinking. But for anyone to say to a patient that they no longer need to, especially if they're not dealing with side effects, they no longer need to be on finasteride because all of their hair is transplanted, I believe that's irresponsible advice, and I believe that they're setting up the patient for long-term disappointment, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to go for a consult, and I'll ask you guys now. I've never taken finasteride, and I see this happening now. So the hair that came from the donor area to the top is thinning, and it looked really good several months ago, and now it's thinning, and I've never taken finasteride, and I don't know.
I've seen that all. It happens often. When people tell you that hair transplant surgery is a permanent solution, it makes me cringe. It's the most permanent solution that we have, and it can be permanent for some men. But in time, unless you're somehow unless medication is continuing to work for you, taking medication, there is a very strong chance that transplanted hair will start to miniaturize. Not all of it, but you'll start to see a natural thinning process, just like you would have. Yeah.
Man, I don't like it, so I don't know. I mean, I might start if I could go get a consult, which I don't mind, but I think you guys would agree. If I started now, you think it could help?
You have to talk to your doctor about that, but there are people who do start later in life, not that you're old, but who will see results. I mean, if it would have affected your donor area positively, if it would have affected the donor wreath in a positive way, then it will definitely help the hair that was moved.
Yeah. I think it's logical, but don't know till you try.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something
or you can lose it, or you can lose all the hair on your head. I don't know.
There's that.
Unlikely, but that's always a possibility.
Yeah.
All right, Dante. I'll leave you with that for the weekend.
That's a wonderful thought, Spence. Thank you.
Dude,
all right, guys.
good luck. Good night, find a doctor. Talk to him about possibly getting on finasteride if you are so inclined, and take it from there.
All right.
All right, man. Good luck.
Thanks. Okay. Have a good night. Take care. Bye.
Any other calls you want to take or no?
Do we have any right now?
We do. Otherwise, I would not have asked.
One more.
All right. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Spencer.
Yes.
How are you?
Oh, hey, man. What's happening?
I know.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear you. And, I called long time ago. I don't know how many years ago. I mean, I'm Hariri, the guy who called from Dubai.
Hariri.
Yeah.
What's happening, man?
Actually, Joe, Joe is a big part in my life, actually. Now, I was just calling to share up my experience, and I wouldn't take so long.
Sure.
It's a long story. You know, basically, I was butchered by one of the doctors in the Middle East in Bahrain, and I had like a 1,500 grafts, and it didn't went okay. I ruined my hairline, my native hair fallen, and I was really looking so bad. I had a big scar in the back of my head. And then I went to Dr. Rahal and had 2,500 grafts. But the thing, they did not yield that much great, probably because of my hairline was somehow wasn't treated properly. So some of them did not have enough blood flow. But still, Dr. Rahal wasn't able to fix up my scar because getting grafts was his priority. Right. In fact, my scar somehow stretched all the way to the sides. And till I found Joe, actually, I was really going to go for Hassan and Wang before, but due to geographical thing, I decided to go to Canada and on Ottawa. After that, with knowing Joe, I mean, he was very helpful to me. He gave me a lot of guidelines, and I really thank him. Actually, now it's 2 a.m., and I'm here in Istanbul having my last hair transplant, hopefully. I went to Dr. Ali Karadeniz. He did a complimentary scar revision, and I was so surprised yesterday when I had my transplant that I have a very thin scar. So I advise everyone who had a bad hair transplant before not to FUE his scar, but to do a scar revision first. Because I've seen my scar and I was out of the moon. I mean, I was really happy. And it was so thin, just like a pencil. And thanks to Joe and to Dr. Ali Karadeniz. And yesterday, I went to one of the notable Turkish hair transplant surgeons. He's a hidden gem. He used to be working with another guy. His name is Levent Achar. He has a Cosmetica, and he separated himself because there are somehow kind of a conflict that he wants to be only hair transplant and he don't want to interfere into other cosmetic surgery. His name is Dr. Chinik. He has a lot of beautiful results. I took the exclusive package where he would do the incisions, and I got myself a very good team. There was a technician, her name is Ada, and they were really professional. And I did my homework very well. I did a strategy of FUEing my scar using my beard hair, try to increase the density of the first 2 centimeters of my hairline, so I would be able to conflage it, or try to hide the by using concealers, because as you are the master of concealing, Mr. Spencer, is concealing a hairline is a very hard thing. No,
I'm just kidding.
Sir. I really admire you. I mean, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, like, how could he really pull it off? So you know that if you don't have a thick hairline in the first 1 centimeter or 2, even though whenever you do the Caesar hairstyle, once you put the concealer or the Topic or the Nanogene, it's going to be so hard to cover up the first line. So I used to do it in a very funny way where I would have to comb my hair in the front to the side, and it looked like a straight line. I look like a basketball player, something like that. So thankfully, hopefully, everything gonna be okay. I just added some hair into my mid-scalp, and I would hopefully look normal. I'm a victim of a concealing, and I still will use concealer. I spoke to the doctor and told him I learned a lot from the Bold Truth. I mentioned you guys. I told him, even though you're giving me unlimited donor offering or so on, I made my own rules. And I told them I need to keep some grafts for the future. And I don't mind using concealer forever, but at least I would like to be normal. I can enter the swimming pool. I can never take my children to the swimming pool because I was so worried of concealer to be spread it all over the swimming pool. So
yeah, Well,
that's all what I can say.
I
thank
warn
you guys.
everybody before I jump into the pool.
Yeah.
So
I don't have any questions. Joe Tillman is always answering my questions all the time. I'm just calling to thank the show for giving me the guidelines, for giving me the instructions. Even Dr. Chinnick, he was like opening his mouth and looking at me with a strong question mark in his head and thinking like, "Are you a doctor?" And I was telling him, "No, I studied hair transplant from your show."
Well, listen, man,
So I made my own.
I appreciate. I do appreciate the kind words, and I'm glad that you're doing well. And we haven't heard from you in a long time, and I really hope everything works out. I'm sure it will.
Everything, hopefully. So I wouldn't take you so long, but I just want to thank that guy next to you, Joe Tillman, for standing beside me and giving me all the advices.
Well, thank you, man. All right.
Very welcome, Mike.
You take care.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's it, guys. Let's call it a night.
That was nice.
Very nice. Very, very, very nice.
Wrap up with a call from Istanbul.
Yeah.
2 a.m.
Unbelievable. I'm beat. I got to eat something, kind of figure out my evening.
I pretty much got to do the same thing.
Yeah. So let Joe give out the websites. Joe?
Let's start off with hairlossexperiences.com. It's a UK-based hair loss and hair restoration forum where clinics are sharing their results and patients are sharing their experiences. It is owned and operated by a good friend of The Bald Truth, this program. He is a repair patient like myself, and he works very hard behind the scenes trying to make sure that other repair patients find the help and answers that they need. Go check them out, hairlossexperiences.com. Next up, we've got international-hairlossforum.com. It's the French hair loss and hair restoration discussion board, and they too have clinics sharing results, patients sharing their experiences, and they are a good friend of this broadcast, allowing us to stream through their web property. That's international-hairlossforum.com. And finally, we've got bellicapelli.forumfree.it. It's the Italian hair loss and hair restoration forum. Patients sharing their very passionate experiences, clinics sharing the results, and also the owner and operator of that forum, a very good old friend of mine. He's a repair patient, works very hard behind the scenes trying to help other people find the answers for their problems and their issues. Check them out, bellicapelli.forumfree.it.
Very good, Joe.
Thank you.
TheBaldTruth.com for archives of this broadcast. My sound is just going up. My levels are like up and down and up and down. I don't get it. You don't hear that, do you?
No, I don't hear it at all.
Jesus.
Has it been going on for the whole broadcast?
I don't know. I see it, but it could be the software. Who knows? The American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org. You will be seeing a new website very shortly, so look out for that if you care. I'm just going to close this door and never open it again. So I feel this week. Let's see. International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That's IAHRS.org. If you're considering hair transplant surgery, please be smart. Take the time to do your due diligence. Check out the IAHRS. They are not only doctors who we believe and who I believe are providing really consistent results, but they support our message that surgery is the last resort, and that not everyone makes a candidate for hair transplant surgery, period. And that's huge. So that's IAHRS.org. Also, our message forum, which is baldtruthtalk.com. And Joe Tillman's personal website, hairtransplantmentor.com. Check it out, everything Joe. Learn about his journey. Check out some of the doctors that he works with directly. And really, for me, it's the journey. That's the coolest part. Great informational site. But seeing what you've been through and how you've come out the other side, I think that's very empowering for a lot of people.
I hope so.
Yeah. And you're so fucking modest. And And let's see, YouTube. Check out Joe's personal YouTube page, which is youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. Subscribe, ring the bell so that you get notified that we're on live. We are using that resource for a reason. We want to grow it. And also, guys, follow me on Instagram. Just take the time to just follow me. It's not a big deal. Don't be ashamed. If you're ashamed for whatever reason, start another account. Just start your own hair loss account just to follow me on Instagram. It's going to really help the cause. That's at Spencer Kobren. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Good
I'm
night.
sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.